as a weapon of war in Africa. When war in the Democratic Republic of Congo ended in 2003, Congolese rebels were integrated into the country's army to protect civilians. But now the rebels are raping and killing women at an alarming rate. To the contrary, spoke with journalist and activist Chuchu Nabintu about why she's risking her life to bring worldwide awareness to the plight of Congolese women.
The woman is the heart of the community, and they know if they destroy the woman, they destroy all the community.
Sexual violence against women is so rampant in the Democratic Republic of Congo that some humanitarians are calling the country the rape capital of the world. Statistics estimate between 50 to 100,000 women have been raped there in the past 10 years. Some Congolese hospitals have reported treating more than 400 rape victims a month.
They rape women. After the rape, they take the women with her children. They kill every day. Each day they kill the child and give the flesh of the child to the lady to eat. So it means to the mother to eat the flesh of her children. Why? Why such atrocities? And they refuse to kill that woman. Why? Because they said that they can't give her a good death. To kill her a good death. So the atrocities is more than death. They rape women, they put fuel in their vagina and put fire, but not to kill them after they extinguish the fire and let women suffer. We can't understand why.
Now, Bintu testified before the Senate Foreign Relations Subcommittee on African Affairs in May to gain U.S. support for stopping the sexual violence. She says the U.S. government can do more to end the violence than the Congolese government can.
Our government, if you ask that question, they say they know the problem and they are doing their best to end it. But for which action? For what action? I don't see anything. That's why I asked to the U.S. government, because it has a power to make a pressure on Rwandan government to accept the return back of the FDLR and start dialogue.
Nabintu is a radio broadcaster and uses that medium to combat sexual violence and to give rape victims the chance to get their voices heard.
For victims, that way of giving them the flow through media, it was the first step of healing their internal wound, because they had to talk about what happened to them, and to talk about it is somewhere to heal their internal wound.
But what can the average American woman do to help the women in the Congo?
Start talking about it, because we saw that there is a silence on it. Many people are not informed. So if they can talk about it and say, now we want to make pressure. I know that women have a power. They can make a peace, strong actions in America, so it can help. There is a hope, and when I'm in contact with victims, and after the interviews they show me smile, I can't imagine that. Yes, but we have a hope. It will change one day. I dream one day it will stop, and it won't take. I want it to stop now, just now.
What's the right thing to do?
You know, first of all, I want to thank you for running this story, because it's so important that this information gets out there and that women know what's going on so we can do what we need to do to help one another. And we need to put pressure on our representatives to make sure that we're more active in negotiating some help in that region, not only to help those victims directly, but also to put pressure on that government to crack down on what's going on, which is obviously a crime against humanity. That needs to stop, and it needs to stop immediately.
Well, it struck me, since she's a radio journalist and she's getting the word out in the country, why can't Voice of America do some worldwide coverage of this, or more maybe it is already, but more worldwide coverage, and then convince the cable nets here to feature it prominently.
I think what could be done very quickly is to get delegation of congressmen and women, right, some senators to fly on over there. That's what they do, and what happens is cameras come with them, and then it becomes a story, and you got people writing about it, and you follow it up and pass some resolutions. That the key is to put the pressure to make them prosecute.
She testified, but just as we talked about in the piece, she testified before Barbara Boxer's new subcommittee, which is I interviewed her about when they set it up, is supposed to shine a light on.
The only way you can do it is to have people going over there and start talking to these people, and then the national press follows.
Yeah, I applaud her for standing up, because that's not easy to do, especially in those countries that are war-torn in Africa. Women are so oppressed over there. The Middle East also. I mean, this is a problem. A definite problem, and this is where Hillary Clinton, I think, comes into play, and where Condoleezza Rice came into play, being elevated on a global level like that as a powerful woman that has a voice.
Did she go? I don't remember. Did she do anything in Congo or about what's going on in the Congo?
Offhand, I don't know, but I know that the Bush administration invested a lot in Africa, and they were actually applauded for that. To this issue specifically,
and
I'm not sure.
And the women
in
Afghanistan,
absolutely.
and Iraq.
And my boss, Congressman Rohrabacher, sits on a Foreign Affairs Human Rights Subcommittee and is very involved in different human rights issues. And if this is one that he's not involved in, then I might bring it up to him, because he should be. He certainly would, because this is just such an atrocity, and the United States government, I think, has a moral obligation to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't.
I mean, I've never heard the kind of torture they were talking about, where lighting their female private parts on fire and then extinguishing the fire so they didn't die. I mean, who's ever heard of anything? I don't think Hitler did anything like that.
Crimes, given the what was going on over there. Why aren't these people brought up on war crimes? Where's the UN National Human Rights Council on these issues? I mean, something should be done about this.
And that's I think Secretary Clinton and Senator Boxer can make a much stronger stand on things like that. And I think one thing that the woman that's speaking the story made very clear is the key to starting to end this is awareness. It's not only on an international basis. I mean, we have problems domestically at home where 1 in 5 of our young women between the ages of 16 and 24 are victims of sexual assault. And I think, as a mother, I don't like those odds, nor do the mothers and fathers of this country. But we need to make people aware of what's going on both domestically and internationally. Violence against women is a problem that's escalating, and we need to start, the U.S. should take the lead in doing something about it.
What about, and something Secretary Clinton said she would do is make women more a part of foreign policy, but is this sort of thing, if it goes on for very long, is it reason for an invasion or sending of at least some troops?
I can't speak to that, but when she was going through her Senate confirmation hearings, Hillary Clinton did say very clearly that she was going to speak out for women.
This was not culture.
But we need her to get back to work and do this kind
There's
of stuff.
ways to achieve that without putting boots on the
You
ground.
don't put boots on the ground. Nothing we could do when we were there.
All right, that's it for this edition of To the Contrary. Next week, Milan Revere on her top priorities as the first ever ambassador at large for global women's issues. Please join us on the web for To the Contrary Extra, and whether your views are in agreement or to the contrary, please join us next time.